What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to do an ultimate buyer's guide on the Honda Civic Type-R, basically going over the two vehicles we saw here in the US, which is the FK8 and the FL5. So the first generation Type-R that we saw here in the US was the FK8. That ran from 2017 to 2021. Now these cars for the US market have always had a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. For the FK8, it had 306 horsepower with 295 pound-feet of torque. Now, 2017 and 2018 were the same car, basically what you see out there listed on the used market and in YouTube videos from years past. Now, for 2019, they did change the MSRP a little bit. It went from $33,900 to $35,700. On top of that, they added ambient lighting, added a volume knob, and they updated the infotainment software just a little bit. Now, 2020, they increased the price a little bit, now up to $36,995. And they made quite a lot of improvements. So they updated the brakes to a 2-piece rotor. The suspension got a reprogram. They added Honda sensing, an Alcantara steering wheel, along with the shift boot and an updated shift knob. You also got the piped-in audio, which is their active sound control. And then you also see an updated grille as well as a front splitter. Now for 2021, they made a limited trim level. That one a little bit more expensive at $43,995. That one came in Phoenix yellow. So it was a super cool design, had BBS wheels, Cup 2 tires, black accents, and then updated badges as well. Moving on to the FL5. So this is the FL5. This is now the 6th generation Civic Type-R, the 11th generation Honda Civic in general. And again, only the last 2 Type-Rs have been here in the States. So this started out as a 2023 model year. It's currently still on sale for the 2025 model year. Now, with all that, they updated these cars quite a lot, even for pricing as well. Starting MSRP was $44,890, and 24 and 25s MSRP $45,600. Keep in mind that is all without destination and a few accessories, options, paint colors, and things like that. So my car is a 2024 model year. In the championship white was about a $500 option. This car's original MSRP was around $47,000. Same goes for if this were a 25 model year. Now, they made a lot of changes for the FL5 generation. You saw a longer wheelbase of about 1.4 inches. They updated the turbo, a little bit more power. We now have 315 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Smoother transmission feel, stiffer chassis, and then a significant refresh for the interior as well as exterior. Personally, I like the FL5 a lot better. I think it looks a little bit more grown up, more mature than the FK8. Still all fine cars though. Now for all the FL5 generation Civic Type-Rs, they're basically all the same. No real major changes have been done throughout this generation. There are maybe a couple different accessories and features available. For 2025, you can order this car with a $5,400 carbon fiber package. Honestly, you can do that on the used market a heck of a lot cheaper, but cool to see Honda gives you that. There's also an upgraded wheel package. They're lighter weight. Those ones are gonna run you around $3,100. And then the other package is the R interior. It's about $1,000. It comes with Alcantara steering wheel, shift boot, some ambient lighting, and a leather shift knob. So that's kind of the only real packages. There's a ton of Honda accessories as well, like cargo dividers. You know, my car has an all-weather floor mat in back with Type-R, all-weather floor mats on the inside. So there's a lot of those types of features, safety kits, things like that. That can change your pricing quite a lot. But nonetheless, it's been pretty much the same car for this generation. Pretty well equipped, leading on top of what we saw on the FK8 in the final year, just with the nice facelift and the few tweaks. So let's move on to issues. What things can you expect if you buy one of the modern Civic Type-Rs? Honestly, they're very reliable. Honda in general is always in the top. You're really not gonna have any detrimental issues with a Civic Type-R. Now, with that said, they're not perfect. There have been some overheating issues, particularly if you're driving these using them on the track a lot. So heavy track use, you might see some overheating. So I would recommend upgrading your radiator, your brake pads. That seems to be a very popular upgrade to guys who are tracking these cars. I've never had an issue. I've done a couple Spirited Mountain runs, things like that, a lot of daily driving. So for me and probably 95% of buyers, you're not gonna see issues. Grinding the transmission, there have been some reports of grinding gears. Again, I haven't seen any issues. I bought this car 3-4 months ago. I've put over 1,000 miles on it. I have about 3,500 on it right now. Haven't had a single issue. Now my car does have an open recall right now for the steering. Honda basically said that the steering might get extremely heavy or something, could lead to a crash of some sort. However, there have been 0 reported incidents due to that, and my car's steering fine. I called them about the recall. It is currently remedy unavailable, so nothing I can do about it. However, I'm not sweating it since the car seems to be acting perfectly fine. And then the last little bit of issues that might pop up is fuel pump issues. Now, currently there is a large batch of Hondas at dealers with a stop sale due to the high pressure fuel pump. So you might see something like that pop up. Again, I haven't seen anything with my car, and you pretty much don't really see issues with these. Just those are the top complaints that could arise in your ownership, especially of an FL5 or the FK8. So let's move on to pricing. Now, ever since I bought this Type-R, I have seen so many comments of people questioning when I mentioned this is a $45,000 car. I get a lot of comments, people saying this is a $55,000 to $65,000 car because of dealer markups. Now, here's the thing, when the FL5 first came out, we were in the craziest car market we have ever seen. 2021-ish, 2022, prices were high, volume was low. So dealers that had one of these cars, which is a low production car, very hot, a lot of demand on this car, yeah, they were going for way over sticker. The one I filmed years ago was at a used car dealer. It was a brand new, never been registered FL5. They were asking 65 grand. I couldn't even test drive it. They wouldn't pull it out of the showroom until whoever was gonna buy it bought it for 65 grand. So yes, that was the case for these cars years ago. However, if right now you buy one of these for over sticker, honestly, you are an idiot, because there are plenty of good used ones for below their original MSRP and plenty randomly popping up at dealers for MSRP. But my car, so I bought it used. So yes, it's a used pre-owned car with 2,000 miles. It was 45 grand. And since I traded in a car worth more money, there was no sales tax, this ended up being close to 45 out the door. So for me, I felt like that was a great deal given its MSRP was 47. So I bought this car, a couple thousand miles for 2 grand less than its original sticker with no dealer fees or anything like that. Now, dealer fees aren't always a bad thing. Now, at the time I bought this, my local Honda dealer had a brand new 2024 come in white. Its MSRP was like 47.2 or something. It may have had 1 or 2 accessories from the dealer, and then there was an $800 like dealer package. That's not a markup. Now, not to say you want to pay that, but that dealer package included things like an extra warranty and a few other accessories here and there. So at least you're getting something for 800 bucks. Needless to say, that car still would have been well under 50 grand out the door. My other Honda dealer had a 2025 coming in. Same thing, it was MSRP, it was around 47 with sales tax, little dealer fee or stuff like that, still less than 50 grand. So I don't know where people are thinking you're buying this for 65 grand. Used market, these cars hold their value, and it seems like some people don't like the fact that these are actually holding values. A lot of people, the car comes off the dealership floor and it tanks in value day one. That's kind of the stereotype of buying a car, is you lose value the day you buy it. Cars like this don't do that. Most of the cars I've owned don't do that. I've owned 2 Toyota Supras. I sold my white one for a $5,000 profit. I sold my black one for what I paid, even trading it in. We had an Audi S3 for 2 years, sold it for what we paid. I had an R35 GTR, sold that for $8,000 more than I paid. Our current RS3 we could sell for what we paid. When you buy low volume, hot cars, they don't really depreciate. And the FL5 Civic Type-R is showing that it's not really depreciating. Now, there are some used ones for like 43 to 45 grand, some ranging up to over 10,000 miles. That's why I feel like I got a great deal on mine, given 2,000 miles was what the average person will probably put in their first month or 2 of owning it. But there are at least 300 in a 500-mile radius to me right now that are pre-owned, less than 10,000 miles for less than their original sticker. And the few that have popped up at my local dealers have all been MSRP with 0 markups. Worst case, maybe an $800 dealer addendum with a couple things they've added to the car. So I'm not seeing the over sticker stuff at all. When people comment that, you need to shop around. And if you do see dealers that are holding that way over sticker, just don't buy it. Vote with your dollar. Don't be stupid and pay over market value. That is stupid. Used market is different, keep in mind. So if Honda discontinue these and these go up in price, that is what the used market does. That's why my GTR went up so much. The used market dictated the price. But nonetheless, for pricing, you should be able to absolutely buy an FL5 right now for MSRP brand new, or a couple grand cheaper on the used market left and right. There's plenty out there. So when you are looking for a Civic Type-R on the used market, whether it's the FK8 or the FL5, things to watch out for. Honestly, like any pre-owned car that has been used for a couple years, has miles on it, just your basic things, check the wear and tear, the Carfax history, see if there's any accidents, things like that on it. Check out the overall condition. My car, again, 2,000 miles. It was only sold for about 6 to 8 months. So needless to say, this car wasn't on the road all too much. When I bought it, it had the mud flaps on it and an aftermarket air intake, and that was it. It's a one-owner car, a couple little chips in the lower section of the front bumper, but that was it. Interior smelled new, looked new. There was no damage anywhere around the car. The tires were still in great shape. Nothing leaking, of course, and the dealer did a nice fresh oil change on it as well. So just your basic things with any used car. Now, as you get into the FK8s, the older generation cars, check for more mechanical issues, have the wheel bearings inspected, maybe a compression test if it's got at least 50,000 miles. But these are reliable cars. They're Hondas at the end of the day. While it's a decked out Honda Civic, it is a Honda Civic, which is kind of the basics for a commuter car. These are very generic cars in general, and the Type-R is just souped up really nicely from Honda to make it super fun. But there's not really anything outside of the generic basic things you're gonna look for on a used car when you're buying one of these. And then as far as pricing, I actually negotiated a little bit. This was listed for like 45.8, I believe. And then I got them down to 45 even on it with my trade and everything. And I was out the door in the 45 range. So you can negotiate on a good used one. Think about it, dealership's gonna have used cars. There's gonna be some wiggle room. On a brand new one, if they're going for over sticker, if your dealer is trying to do 60 grand, do not at all buy it. These are not worth 60 grand, they're not worth 50 grand. MSRP is where you should be at. And if you're getting a used one, a couple grand less than that, and that's about it. Again, they're holding values pretty well, so you're not gonna be getting 10 grand off on a used one or something like that. Don't expect that. So a couple grand less than that if they're nearly brand new, like my car, is about where you're gonna be. You can get the FK8s in the 30 grand range though with decent miles. And again, they're pretty reliable cars, so I think these are overall a very safe bet. Just look for the basics on any used car and you should be good to go. Negotiate a little bit, maybe get a couple bucks off, and I think you're gonna enjoy the car quite a lot. So lastly is maintenance. Well, again, at the end of the day, it's a Honda Civic. It's a generic car, even though it's a special car at the same time. Maintenance is nothing really crazy. Again, when I bought it, they did a fresh oil change on it, and I don't think I'll have to do anything to it for a year. If I own it in one whole year, I will do another oil change, continue to monitor my tires, and that is it. Gas is pretty cheap. It doesn't have the biggest tank. I filled it up from a quarter tank yesterday for $25. This doesn't even require premium fuel. It actually says recommended 91 octane, minimum 87. So you can literally put generic basic gas in this. I topped it off with 89 octane the last time I filled it up, since I had a little bit of 93 still in there. But it's just not an expensive car to own. Insurance on it, I'm paying 800 bucks a year to fully insure this. Pay in full, highest deductible, multi-car discount. My zip code is clearly a pretty cheap area to live, I guess, compared to some big cities and things like that. When I get my property tax bill after 1 year, when I need to renew my license plate that I traded in, that I already paid on from the Supra, it's gonna be like 400 bucks. So this is a cheap car to own. It's gonna hold value, it's reliable, and it is a blast. I think there is something special about taking a generic car and souping it up of the way Honda has done it, all from the factory, and getting a heck of a fun car for the money. I've been really impressed, and a lot of you have commented saying I'm turning into a Honda fanboy in the good way, not in the fanboy sense, but I am becoming a very big fan of this car. I think the Type-R kind of just nails it on the head. You get so much for the money, and I have been smiling left and right owning this car. And for those of you who are new to our channel, my other car is a Lamborghini, and yet I love driving this car. I have just as much fun in this car, and yet it's 3 times cheaper. So just goes to show you, you don't have to spend $1 million to get something expensive to have fun. You can have a heck of a lot of fun in an average price car. But there is my buyer's guide for the FL5 Honda Civic Type-R, also touching base with the FK8. I don't think there's really any downfalls. It still is a Civic at the end of the day, so some things might be a little cheap on it. But nonetheless, I think anybody who buys this, if you want a really fun, practical, manual, bucket seats, this is where it's at. I've been enjoying it. And that is everything I can come up with on a buyer's guide. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, stay tuned for plenty more content. Check out our website linked down below. We have a ton of aftermarket parts for the Civics as well as the Integras. They definitely wake up this car quite a lot. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. See you guys in the next video.